The city commission meeting to order on this Tuesday, June 20, 2023, 7 p.m. That given communication by Commissioner Isom, followed by the pledge of allegiance. City manager.
We all bow our heads. Lord Jesus, take us through this meeting that we can move forward, move the city forward, and make the right decisions for the betterment of the people, the residents of the city and community. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This brings us to the roll call. Yield to the city clerk.
Commissioner Adams.
Present.
Commissioner Clark Griffin.
Present.
Commissioner Edwards.
Present.
Commissioner Henderson. Commissioner Henry. Commissioner Isom.
Present.
Commissioner Singleton.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats. Mayor Mohammed.
Present.
You have a quorum.
This brings us to the approval of minutes, regular minutes, June 5, 2023.
Motion to approve.
Motion is made by Commissioner Adams. Is there support? It is supported by Commissioner Edwards. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Henry. Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin.
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to the approval of accounts payable listing. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion is made by Commissioner Adams. Is there support? Or is supported by Commissioner Edwards. Is there discussion? Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
I just want to know, let the finance director, I know this is budget time, but I will still be needing those vouchers and invoices for the engineers and the attorneys. Thank you.
Carry none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin.
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to citizens' comments for public participation. There's a sheet that you can register with the city clerk. She can call you and register.
Lee Reed.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good
I'd like to give you an update on the master plan. Tuesday, July the 11th, Paul Lippens will present us with a 70% draft. It's going to be at the library, St. Harbor Library across the street. I would like as many people as possible to come out. What we're looking for is to criticize this plan. We need to know right now what's in it that you like and what's maybe missing that you'd like to put in it. This is your plan. The citizens will buy in it if you're interested in it. You show little or no interest, how do you expect them to show any interest? This plan you will create should not be somebody else's plan. So I'm going to ask all of you as representatives of the citizens who for the last 2 years have not shown up. Represent them. Speak up. Let them know what's going on and allow them to participate. After that, you all will be given an opportunity to accept or reject. If you accept it, it'll be circulated the next 63 days to the surrounding municipalities for their input. So our plan, let's put it together, work on it together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Emma Kennard.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm a resident here in Benton Harbor and very concerned. I do see that the alleys are being put together, which is a good thing. But I think that you're gonna end up with the same problem if you don't enforce what you have on the books. The alleys back there has got weeds almost as tall as I am, right next to the fences. So you should get letters out and let them know the consequence of not cutting behind their fence lines. So that should have been already out as we are putting those alleys together. And one of the other things I want to address in the second ward, there's been water fights, bottles thrown at one another. These children could injure one another terribly. Bottles of water that's sometimes some of the people that got extra water are letting these children have it for water fights. Well, these bottles full of water can have quite an impact on the body. So don't let these children, they out for the summer. They have nothing else to do because we don't have a skating rink or anything to sort of absorb their energies that they want to, burn off. And we've got to have something for them to do. But these bottle fights is gonna come up to something pretty bad because eventually somebody's gonna be seriously injured. Plus, I had the youth that comes with me to go and pick up all of that and it was looking so nice and clean. This morning, the same thing. So you have to get your police department or whoever else to get out there and make sure that they go to the addresses where a lot of these children gather and get all worked up to get these water fights on. So I think you should address this before something terrible comes. And I'm coming to you all with this. So when something happens bad, you can't say that I didn't bring it to you. So I want you all to get on that right away. And Mr. Reed, I think you're doing a wonderful job and you bring it to your attention because if you allow somebody else to play in your house, which is your city, and you don't have any input in it, or you get just what you got coming to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bruce Buckerite.
Bruce Buckerite, Grand Rapids. Last week at the Public Safety and Parks and Recreation Committee meeting, I asked a couple of questions about that committee. In reply, City Manager Mr. Mitchell stated, in spite of my notes and my comments, I do not know everything about the City of Benton Harbor government. I agree with that. However, I am working on learning more. In the future, I hope to be better educated. In the past 15 months, I have attended meetings of the Cemetery Board, City Commission, various committees. From listening and observing, I've learned, as Ms. Adams often states, the government of the City of Benton Harbor works and sometimes doesn't. I've asked questions about the city's expenditures because at times questions are required when services aren't rendered per the contract. I've listened to comments from the residents who also attend these meetings. So I leave you with two questions tonight. First question is whether the most updated city charter is posted online. The second question is whether the city ordinances posted online are also the most up to date. Thank you.
Thank you.
Spencer Nesbitt.
Good evening. Just got a couple of things I'd like to say. I see that there are and have been a lot of improvements within the city under the leadership that we have right now. And I just hate to see things go backwards again because I haven't seen the sweeper out on the streets, sweeping the streets anymore. I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just saying that I haven't seen it. Being retired, I have an opportunity to ride through the city and do things. After 48 years of working, I can afford to do that now. And one other thing is, over on Cross Street, there has been a piece of equipment that was sitting on the lawn, tree lawn, when they had the problem with the water line, and it's still sitting there. I complain about the cars and things in the road. I complain about a lot of other things, and that is still sitting there. It should not be a community monument. We need to try to remove that stuff. And another thing is that are we still have inspectors coming around looking at the lawns and things? I'm not talking about the parks and things. I'm talking about the houses and things, the residence houses. You know, we have houses and things that people live in, and every time someone come by and don't see a car, they want to know if is the house up for rent or for sale or whatever. It's bad. You know, you got people in the neighborhood, you got landlords that refuses to go out and make sure that the tenants take care of the property. That's a problem. So we need to address that. So I'm not complaining about our leadership, but I'm just saying we need to be more involved in what we're doing. You know, continuous improvement has always been part of my thing. My job title, I had to do that. Continuous improvement. We did not get stagnant in a certain area just because we moved something and it didn't work. That time we stopped. Because if you look at a water line, a water ditch, or whatever you want to call it, if water's not moving, it's going to let it sit there and it's going to turn green and you're going to see one little road, one little tree land, something growing in there. That's what I hate to see in the city of Lincoln Harbor. Still support the people that I snapping on support, no matter what someone say or who says it. That's my opinion, and that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so it's not going to be changed. It's not going to be changed. And I'm not highly educated like some of the other people. I do have 2 ounces of sense. I did go to college. I have 2 ounces, and I know how to apply things and make things work if I have an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tanisha Whitelaw Perry.
Hello. I have a complaint, but I have a concern. I feel like the parents of these kids that's gotten killed is being ignored because I feel like how can you guys help them if you don't even know who their children are? Because I've had people say, who is this person or who is their kid? I feel like if you're the police officer or the mayor or the council, you should know exactly whose kid that person belongs to. And I feel like these mothers are like heartbroken. I've had so many leave, I've had so many calls, and it's like, it's not getting any better. So as I said before, I'm not just talking to you because I want you to do it. I'm trying to help as much as I can. Like I go to the court, people are going back to court and everything, but it's not just here, but it's mostly here because this is our stomping ground. So that's why I'm at these council meetings, because I had a mother that was supposed to come tonight, but she doesn't even feel well because she was dismissed. And that's not acceptable. I feel like her son has been gone for 3 years, and then it's not a kid that I can say he's in the street or he's doing this. He got killed at home with her in the bed sleep. They shot her house up, and her son died in the process on a visit here. So I'm just speaking for all these parents, these victims. I think we need counselors, but not just any kind of counselor. We need a counselor that can understand where these parents are, where they're going, and where they've been. And we need to find something for the kids to do. Like I didn't email trying to find buildings, any other thing that I can help to do something different at the Harbor, because it's the same. And it's like repeating itself. And just like I say, every Memorial Day, I want to do a walk, but I do not want to add to that banner. I don't want another kid on a shirt, somebody's mom. I don't want that. I want us to go back in time because we can't fix now if we don't fix the past. Because people in the past are still affected today by the deaths of their families. So I just want everybody to do better as far as checking in on these parents, because we're not here to judge. That's not our job. But they need more support than y'all can ever imagine, because it is their kid. I don't care how many kids they have, they can't replace the one that they lost. So I just want to come up here and speak for the victims, and I just want our city to do better with comforting them. So that's what I'm up here just to say. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
No more comments.
My brother. Yeah.
Oh, over here, Mr. Turner. No different column.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good evening, actually.
Okay, make sure I'm live. February 3rd, 2023, a finance director resigned. There were tactics that were unmunicipal in the city of Benton Harbor, like never before. So tonight before we have the finance that's due July 1st. Here we are 6 months later. Now, one Benton Harbor residents seen a budget hearing. Is there a reason why we don't see a budget hearing? Do the commissioners get a budget hearing? I mean, the city manager here got an increase. He needs to be defunded. He don't do his job correctly. I mean, how can you pass a budget without a budget hearing? Without the residents knowing about what's going on? Nothing in this budget here is supposed to be our residents. This is for corporations and what they want to get, and they're going to get regardless of what we want to get. There's nothing in this list here to make our children safe. On Sunday, Benton Harbor Public Safety responded to a fight on Jefferson Hill. They literally spent an hour on that block with the young kids. Yesterday, they were so thankful, they brought the fire engine out yesterday, and we blocked Jefferson Hill down yesterday for the young kids. That is not my job to call Clark or the fire marshal 5 in the afternoon. I got life to live too. Now, one commissioner out there, South Commissioner White River, the other commissioner, we don't know who your number are, you don't find emails, nothing. You don't show up in the ward at all. So the list goes on. Then Jason here assured me about the alleys. These alleys are not getting taken care of. So we have a $3 million project. These alleys here on this list, Jason, I'm not pleased with at all. There's tires, trash, you name it. They go to the alley, they do what they want to do. There's no supervision. These clowns here, these elephants in the room here, they don't come out there. So as residents, I want them to go back and do this again. This is not done correctly, and I'm not happy with it.
Point of order, please speak to the chair.
Point of order, I'm talking. Don't you
Can't
vote.
speak to people.
Point of order, I'm talking.
You cannot speak.
Madam Clerk, pause the clock.
You cannot speak
I'm
to people
speaking.
in the audience.
Shut up talking to me.
You gotta
I'm
speak
talking.
to the chair, sir.
I'm talking. Don't interrupt when I'm talking. I'm grown.
Please. speak
I'm
to the
grown.
chair.
Talk to your people away, not me. You want to stand me? I'm grown. If you don't like it, fuck up. Say what I said. I'm tired of you. Fuck up. I ain't scared of you. Fuck up with you. I'll show you who you really are.
Jesus.
You take it out.
No more comments.
This brings us to the budget hearing. I'd like to open up the budget hearing, and I'd like to yield to the city manager by the city charter responsible for presenting a budget to the city council for consideration and approval. I yield to the city manager of the city of Benton Harbor, Mr. Ellis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commission, everyone in the audience. Can you hear me? Thank you for coming out. You're going to hear exactly what's happening tonight. Rhonda, let's go through the budget assumption. I'm going to be working with Rhonda. I'm good at finance, but I'm not a financial genius.
So for the point of clarity, Ms. Hilda Grand represents Plant Grand and is contracted by the city of Benton Harbor. And he has worked diligently with the city in preparing the budget, working with the city manager, presenting through the Personnel Finance Committee as well on our budget and finances. We'd like to yield.
Honorable Mayor, will the residents be able to view?
Thank you. Do we have the
I did not put it on a PowerPoint.
Madam Clerk, are we able to provide that? in the meantime, if you could please proceed.
You want me to go through the assumptions in
Yes.
building the budget?
Yes, please.
Okay. Consideration for the revenue items in the budget, the general fund, property tax. The state allowed a 5% increase to taxable values, and Whirlpool also became part of the tax roll this year, 2023.
Right.
So property values and the taxable values for the city went up this year. Income tax increase. We've also built in $100,000 to increase income tax because the income tax department is going to, or is budgeted to contract a compliance person to go out and figure out who's paid, who's not, who should have filed, because we think there's a lot of opportunity there for people that haven't filed income tax. Marijuana tax revenue, the state of Michigan gives the city for operating license. This past year, there was 150 received for 3 licenses, and we're budgeting 2 more for next year. There's also additional revenue sharing to be received from the state of Michigan. They've put in an amount for public safety, $68,000. And then for the other major fund here, which is the utility fund, we've built in, which is because of the bond, 9.95% rate increase on July 1st, and sewer 7%. So those are the changes in the revenue for the funds. Capital projects that are reflected in the budget, we've reflected the local street and alley project that was approved. There was a major road project, actually started in this fiscal year, that's gonna go over into next year, and that's the Papa Avenue. There's some other grants that the city's gonna receive that this is new this year, that we have not had money for, and that's for Ox Creek Hall Park, and there's a MHSDA lead grant. So there's some additional funds that we've set up this year to capture the costs of that. Permanent public improvement, we've budgeted to improve the cemetery building and make some improvements to City Hall. And for the utility fund, there's another approximately $9 million that will be received next year, and that can go up, down, depending on how fast the projects work. But the city has $28 million for water plant and distribution system that they're gonna receive, started this year, and it's gonna go over the next couple of years from the state of Michigan to fund utility projects. So those are the major projects that are in the budget. And some additional staff. And this was budgeted last year as well, but we did not hire any more. The public works, utility, and the major and local streets put in the budget 2 additional full-time CDL drivers and a part-time. And then we've also budgeted a finance director to be hired August 1st with Plant Moran, which is myself, to transition out, to work with the finance director and then transition out of the city. Contracted staffing in the general fund, as I mentioned before, there was a income tax revenue increase, and to offset that, there's a compliance person that we've budgeted for $30,000 to be contracted to help with that. Then for the cemetery, we have budgeted that C Management would still operate the cemetery, and 25% of the services would go to the city of Benton Harbor to help fund some of the property and building services that are done for the cemetery. Wage increases, which are across the board, non-union, and again, this is just a budgeted amount, 5%. The AFSCME union, 5%, which is Public Works and Utility. The police, 5%, and then we've also budgeted a 5% increase in commissioner stipends, and I'll mention they haven't seen an increase 7 years since I've been here, so this will be the first increase that we've budgeted, and it's 5%. Other assumptions we've made, general inflation, 4%. We know the healthcare costs for the city are going up 3%. Workers' comp is increasing 40% this year. We've had a lot of workers' comp claims. Pension, 4.4%. And then we've also included again, something that wasn't it didn't get spent this year, but it was a quarterly newsletter in the commissioner's budget for $4,100. So these are what I would call general assumptions that we use to build this budget. Some of the changes compared to how things were operating this past year.
Thank you. Mr. Manager, do you have any additional information that should be added?
They don't have any additional to be added at this point.
This brings us to any comments, questions from the panel. Chair recognizes Commissioner at Large. Adams.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I just have one question, and as usual, it's going to take more in-depth for me personally. This is revisable along the way. Yeah.
Always.
But we need something to send to the state for approval.
Yes.
It's that time of year. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Edwards, second.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. As far as the public safety and public works, that 5%, that is for a certain time, or that's about a year, but that's in the contract where it's gotta be a certain time. So it won't change next budget. It'll still be 5%.
I don't even know that that's been determined yet, because they're going through negotiations right now. We built in 5%, could be less, doubt it'll be more, but it could be less, but there are negotiations that are underway right now.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Fourth Ward Commissioner Clark.
Now, I don't know how true, but I want to know, and I want to know where it's at. I heard that you talk about spending 50 or 55,000 on shutting down the basement, filling the basement out. Is that true?
Mr. Manager.
I haven't heard that.
You ever heard that? Okay. I just want to know.
Yeah.
Chair recognizes the Finance Department President.
There is some estimate that we are obtaining for the basement, and it's not to shut it off, it's completely, it's to allow, if people come in the building, they can only go downstairs and out instead of going, there are a lot of rooms that public can go into. So the estimate was to secure for the city employees, secure where we have documents stored. And right now, people can go in and out of that basement. You can't close the basement totally because that's an outlet. So it would have to be, they could get out at the bottom of the stairs, there's an exit, but nobody could go into the rooms where we store personnel. I mean, they're locked, but they can be.
Okay, so it's been like that. So have anybody went in the basement?
So I'm wondering why now are we doing this when it's been like that all the time? And how much? I wanna know how much, because that money could be spent on a lot of stuff. It needs to be fixed right over there coming up the stairs. That ceiling is filling, which could be a danger to be unsafe. So it's a lot of other things that we can use that money for. A lot of people probably don't even know we have a basement. And it's been like that almost long as they all been open. Those documents been there. And I'm sure they in a safe or something too. Well, if they're not, they should be. So that's something I'm not in agreement with.
So, Mr. Manager, I know that there's a line item that's for city hall improvements. That's a part of it. Talk, Mr. Manager. That is correct.
I just know the city manager say that's not true, but then Ms. Rhonda say it is a part, and we are talking about at least some parts of it, so I wanna know, is it true? Is it not? And how much?
Let me,
I sure have that answer.
let me explain my answer. There is no plan to shut down the basement. What we're trying to do is protect our employees. Because we've had people in the basement that we didn't know were in the basement before. We don't want our employees in this situation.
Yeah, how much are we talking about, because we need to protect our residents and employees with that ceiling out there falling down over the stairs.
Currently,
So I need finance, I still need an answer of the amount,
there's no,
whatever we're gonna do to the basement.
Madam,
We haven't received an estimate yet,
Okay, so.
and
it's
that
gonna
will come
us.
to you
Thank you, okay.
before it's, I mean, these are what I would call a wish list. But everything major that comes through still has to go through you to get approval, because it's gonna be more than $3,500, which requires your approval.
Okay.
So,
Commissioner Adams is recognized.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Commissioner Ethel Clark Griffin of the Fourth Ward just reminded me of something, and it brings a very valuable, valid question that needs to be answered. Twice since I've been here, we've given approval for the elevator for $10,000. It used to have air a couple of months ago, and now it doesn't. When do we know when that has taken place? We approved it, but I haven't seen any improvements. What was the work? Can we get the documentation on it? Because I every time I get in the elevator, I question that money, our tax dollars.
yeah. You've already approved,
Yes, it
this?
has been over a year, if not two.
We'll have,
I'll research
the
it.
city clerk, I know you send out,
And
monthly, all resolutions that have been passed, so if you could.
yes,
Pull that resolution.
actually, there was two under the past management as well. Yeah. I can keep up with stuff.
Chair recognizes the personnel and finance chair. Commissioner Ice.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Looking at the general fund and utility fund right now, with the new budget, will it balance out with the new budget starting in July if we approve this? With this budget, we won't have to get money from the utility fund, put the general fund, keep moving money like that. With this budget, get us caught up in a way, like with the increases.
It will catch up some,
So,
but this budget, as all the rest of the budgets that have been prepared, have a piece of it that the utility fund pays the general fund for administrative services and for what's called pilot, which is property taxes
Payment in lieu of tax.
payment in lieu of taxes, thank you. So that piece of it is supposed to flow from the utility fund
Mhm.
to the general fund, and that's how this budget has been prepared.
Okay.
The utility fund right now is showing a loss because of high operating costs. The general fund, if you want to switch to the budget or the summaries by fund, the one you just had before. The general fund is showing expenses exceeding revenue, but that's because there's 2.1 million for a road project. You've accumulated money over time and
Right.
haven't spent it,
Mhm.
so your fund balance is still positive.
Okay.
You're not depleting that, but you are budgeting, this budget is prepared showing a loss or a expenses exceeding money
Okay.
coming in. So it will, the two aren't gonna benefit any from this budget. The general fund is not gonna get any more.
Even with the water, the rate increases, still a
High operating costs
cost.
for that facility right now.
And that'll take effect July 1st.
Mhm, mhm.
Just one more question. I know we'll talk about it tomorrow at the meeting, but what's the balance in the opera funds?
2.5 million.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Carter.
Okay, I just asked a question about closing down the base. City manager said that that is no plan to do that. Ms. Rhonda said there's not money. Okay, so I'm looking on page 8, under opera funds, I guess it's intended to use opera funds. And it says, City Hall, upgrade basement door, close off basement that says, bottom stairs, $50,000. So am I being deceived or what's going on? It's on video. City manager said that's not happening. Ms. Rhonda said there's no money amount, but this paper says otherwise. You don't have to answer me now, because we are the one that has to approve it or not. But I don't like when something's not being truthful. So, thank you.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I do want to commend this body for another budget that is not showing what we need state receivership like we've come from. Just to let everybody know that this is only a hearing to approve a budget that can be changed at any time. We have the ability as a body to come back and do whatever we need to do with the budget. This is just something that's mandated by the state of Michigan. By a certain point in time, certain point of year, to get this done. I would just behoove all of us to try to be careful with some vernacular that we utilize. Anything that is done to improve anything here has to come through this body. By the charter, you cannot spend a certain amount of money unless you come through the body. We have even put restrictions on the city manager for check writing, that he cannot write a check unless it's under a certain amount. So anything that happens in the city, if you see it in an amount that exceeds that, per the charter, you have to have a certain amount of votes to do anything fiscally. So this is just something to give you a roadmap of what it looks like to keep a balanced budget, to make sure we're going in the right direction. If somebody wants to take that position and do the accounting, then I'm quite sure we can interview you and you get that job. But so far, there's not been somebody in that position. And I commend staff, city, for things that have been in place for the last probably 8, through the chair. How many years have we had a balanced budget? How many years has it been since the state said that we can go ahead and do it on our own? I would ask that question, and, you know, if anything needs to be improved, it's a whole lot. I mean, the front of the building looks like it's just terrible. We paid a lot of money to get some stuff done. The inside of the building is probably needs a complete overhaul. You know, we were denied a new building by the EFM. We had the opportunity to get a new city hall, and have some match money to go with it, and even to build a fire station. We were denied by the EFM to say we didn't have match money, and we could have got money somewhere else. So there's a reason for everything, but I think we're trending, key word, in the right direction. Probably by the time we get done doing some other things around here, we can get some upgrades or get some grant money for this building to make this building look like the jewel that it deserves to be. But this is only a roadmap guideline. But at any time, you can call a special meeting and get another commissioner, and we can do an addendum or amendment to the budget. We've done this for years. I think I've been here for about 3 or 4 years, and we've amended the budget quite a few times. So I want to commend again this body for all your hard work and due diligence to keep us out of receivership. And that's a key word I want to put in the finite minds of some people who lie and say that people are stealing money. We got credit cards, we got cars, we got checkbooks. This city commission don't have none of that. So when you go on Facebook or Twitter or whatever you're gonna do at the leaders meeting and say somebody's stealing, just make sure that you just stand up to what your conversation says, because that is slander and that is libel. So if you're saying somebody's stealing or somebody's taking money, that is slander. So I want to thank you, Honorable Mayor, for your leadership and making sure that we do this in a timely manner and get this done the most effective way possible. Thank you.
Two more quick questions.
Commissioner Adams is recognized.
Thank you. Amongst these 5% percentages and the 4 and 3 and so forth, are any of these for our public works workers that are overdue for a raise? And I want to know where within this budget would it be on a line item that we donate money to the airport?
The donation to the airport is in its own department within the general fund.
Does that ever move, or is it a certain
$20,000
every year?
As long as I've been here, it's been
Does
$20,000.
all other municipalities make donations like that as well? I mean, I've just never known, and when I was sitting on the board,
It's an airport authority
I was just curious.
in each
Yeah,
municipality.
trying to learn how it functions.
They
So,
pay
okay.
in, but the city's been.
Okay, but I'm always looking for money to do something to get the armory fixed or something for the kids.
62%
okay, all
owner.
right.
The city of St. Joseph is 48% owner.
Okay.
Commissioner Singleton is recognized.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Through the manager, to Ms. Shutenberg. The general fund, I heard you talk about the general fund and then the utility fund, which is general fund kind of carrying the load right now for the utility fund. And is that's basically due to local collections, and how long you think that it could sustain that the local collections? Not too long. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the chair. Under the harbor expenditures, there's parks, buoys, or lake. I know we have had citizens ask about buoys for the river. So is this in concrete, they have to be for the lake, or is that just for the sake of the budget? To put them on the river and the lake?
Manager.
question that was raised, Commissioner, but we never had an answer to it. Nobody's ever come to you and said, you know, this is
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, who was it last week?
to put it on the agenda.
For the,
Ooh. But I think that to have it in the budget is a good step.
Right.
Because if we bring it and say, we want buoys, but there's no budget, this is hand in hand. But I do want to say, after being around since 2010, and we did not start passing under the Home Rule Act budgets until 2017. Because the emergency manager prepared 2 budgets before he left, and then it was consistent a year after the RTAG left, because they prepared a final budget. So, understanding government and processes and procedures, crawl, walk, run, I think is a good analysis or analogy for where we are now. Just a few years, not even a decade after. If you look at Pontiac, you look at Saginaw, you look at Flint, some of these other places, the city of Benton Harbor, how we have responded to 7 years of Public Act 72, Public Act 4, Public Act 436, and now Home Rule. I think that we are getting our wings. I'm happy to see and congratulate the staff because we're passing a budget where at one time it was just to keep the water from going over our nose. But now we're passing a budget with $28 million in improvements to our water system, distribution system, as well as our water filtration plant, $2.1 million in road, alley, repairs, not to mention the CDBG budget, which will reflect more improvements. So the residents will benefit from the budget in a greater way, but it is a testament of tough questions, tough decisions, debate, discussion, and of course administrative hands to make it work. So thank you to the council, thank you to the management staff, and you.
Okay, I just wanna,
Pardon me, Commissioner Edwards.
Just for the note, if an agreement with, Chair Parks and Rec, we can put that on the agenda for that next month about the buoy and King River thing.
Fine with me.
Putting the buoys, city manager stated never had been brought to the committee to bring to him. So I just asked the city clerk, with agreement with the chair, if we can put it on next month's agenda, that we bring that to the table, so we can bring it to us. But when we ask for buoys, they just won't be for the lake.
First step is we got to pass.
Correct.
Chair recognized.
I wanna kind of piggyback on Commissioner Adams, what she said about public works. I haven't noticed where it is an increase or a raise, is it somewhere in there, and am I overlooking it? Because they're long overdue. And if my recollection is right, they haven't had a raise since the emergency manager put the freeze, and he's been gone, what, 7, 9 years or something? If you got somebody that's been there 23 years, don't take $15. You got two people starting in 13, almost making what he's making. And he's also certified. So we need to be discussing, if it's not in them, I don't see it anywhere, and somebody can point it to me, or if it's not in there, we need to be putting it in there.
Is this it under non-union?
Point of order, I want to yield to Ms. Hildebrand, the city manager.
Yeah, she never said it, okay.
Yeah, the AFSCME, which is the union for public works, has budgeted 5% overall to all of them. Any kind of wage change will come, actually, I mean, this is our estimate, but any wage change will come through negotiations, which are starting right now.
Okay.
And I see that, I've seen it with the union, but 5% is nothing.
But anything more than that,
Okay.
we did not reflect in this budget, but it will have to be brought to the city manager in negotiations to then bring to you if there's a change or any additional increases.
Needs to be.
Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
Let me answer that a little bit more directly for you. Over the past 3 years, we've given raises each year.
To public safety, public works.
For those bonuses.
Both.
So,
Both.
yeah, so the and I'm trying to rewind it, but the decimation came under the EM with the furlough days, holidays, and 10% cut. But with the raises each year, as the manager stated, it's brought us back where we were and pushed us a little forward. But they are in the process of negotiations. And I think that we all agree that raises should be given as reflected in the budget. However, we don't want to push all our appropriate chips in while the manager is in negotiations with.
But also, the 10% that was taken, it needs to be brought back to.
It has gradually. But I appreciate your question. Mayor Pro Tem Seniors.
Honorable Mayor, I do again request of this body that we stick to the budget hearing. Negotiations and union meetings and all this other stuff have nothing to do with what's up here right now. If we just stick to the budget hearing and come to the meeting, and then we can adjust everything. And again, be careful with personnel matters that, we're speaking of, because then you cannot talk about people's wages and who makes this and who makes that, because that becomes a personnel issue. You don't want to be caught talking about personnel issues in a city meeting. I got the floor, y'all, please. I don't talk with y'all doing it. This is not Eric Mays in Flint. So I would just ask of this body to stick to the confines of a budget hearing. If you don't know what it is, please Google it on your phone and tell you do's and don'ts. All right. Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
I appreciate that comment because this is a hearing. It's not a negotiation. Per charter, right? The city manager is responsible for negotiations with the union. This is not more for that. Without without any further, Chair recognizes.
Thank you, Chair. I want to talk about Gene Clark Park, the cash cow. We've been hired. We make a lot of money there at Gene Clark Park. We don't spend very much money in Gene Clark Park, but we make a lot of money. And through the years, there's been monies, funds that are allocated to improve Gene Clark Park. That includes the Graham Avenue projects there. They're supposed to give Gene Clark Park some of their money. So there is a lot of avenues that Gene Clark Park brings to us. And with the fact that our parks are having such a rough time, we got a really big group of people now that come in to help take over the park. But that seemed to be a slow process. So I would like to see us entertained to look at Gene Clark Park's revenue to supply some of the maintaining and programming for our other 12 or 13 parks.
Dedicated to?
Another issue is the franchise money that we get from Comcast or whoever. And communication has been a project that we've been trying to do for 25, 30 years. And we just got $4,125 and we need 30,000 more to make citizens of Benton Harbor fully aware of all the opportunities, all of the things that are going on right now. I think that we need to allocate some money to communication and take it directly out of the franchise fee. I'm not sure, it's around 80 to 90,000. So we should not be going without when we can allocate that money to something that's really going to improve the citizens' input, citizens' understanding, as well as the citizens getting involved in the process. So I'm just trying to find some way to make communication happen for us. It's been a project and it's not going well. So I want to fund it. Thank you.
Thank you, Communications.
That's fine.
That being said, I would like to recognize before we open up for public comment,
Because generally, thank you, our mayor.
Commissioner Adams.
The gentle lady of Third Ward just opened up a can that I didn't even know had worms in it. Worms in the form of $, when she spoke about the franchise fees. And I thought that that's what I was trying to touch base on when we were dealing with entering into a contract with the cable. Not cable, but not Comcast. What do you call those? The towers, the cell tower. When we renegotiated a contract with those people, that I think we got like $10,000 more a year. So those the type of funds that go into this can called franchise fees. So how much? I'd like to know exactly how much we have in this can, and then we'll deal with it later on from there. But I'd like to know exactly how much we have.
And again, I think Commissioner Adams, as well as Mayor Pro Tem C, stated that this is a working document that can be amended as we see necessary to provide services and or benefits for residents. Tonight puts us in a position to pay some bills and move the city forward. So at this time, I'd like to open up for public comment. Going once, going twice.
Next question. Public comments for what in particular?
So during the budget hearing, we have comments from the staff, comments from the city commission, and then comments from the public to be expressed during the public hearing or budget hearing.
And no one's gonna say anything?
I appreciate your help. There are no.
Well, I have something to say if nobody else has.
You do have the floor, sir.
trying to get reparations for my people, so everybody else is very interested in. I'll say that first.
It will be paid.
And I don't want to be the only one wanting this. I want every one of you guys to figure out some kind of a way that you can ask all of our friends. They call it when you take one apart, claim it, claim that for our people. Since we don't have anything else better to do, we should be able to do that. I see a lot of change, and I'm overwhelmed. I see our streets, I see the progress being made. I even see my partner down the street. You shaking your head, yeah. I look for more. I don't look for kibbles and bits.
Yeah.
I look for everything for my people. And I don't see the same enthusiasm, but I would like all of you guys to try to figure a way where we can make reparations for our people possible. And I'd like you to ask your friends to sponsor, or not just a big amen about it, but do something about it. Fixing the park, beautiful, I love the idea of everything. Fix the families, then the parks might mean something to you. If you don't care enough about the people, what use of the damn park? Thank you.
Thank you.
I heard the parks, mentioned, and Miss Ruby Patterson has been trying to get in touch with the city manager. And they said that they called so many times down here to get answers as to being able to work and clean it. She's one of the members of the AKA, and she came to me and mentioned her husband was a former mayor here at one time, but she has tried time and time again, she said, to get in touch with the city manager, and she do not receive a call back in order to just work in the park, not asking for anything, but they use that as a service or give back to the city of Benton Harbor. So I'd like to see that people like that want to give back or work to try to help make Benton Harbor the shining example that it should be. And one other thing, I know that you all have 25% of the jobs. And now we got millions of dollars going through here now, things being fixed. Since that kind of money is floating around, 25% of it is supposed to go to the jobs for people in residential areas. Where are those people? I've driven around and I've looked, I haven't seen those people working in the city to get some of that money. So I'd like to see an answer. Why aren't you all following however you got it set up? I've been here many years and I've seen that 25% never show up any place in the city. So when am I going to see that? I would love to see it in my lifetime.
Thank you. Good evening.
I was at gas school here, and I know it's not a budget for the parks. I'm just getting back where everybody else is coming from. Also, I like still want to see this Ernie back open for the kids. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
You know, I wasn't gonna say anything, but I think that been discussed in the budget. And as it has been said by Commissioner Z, that this is a budget that now we can make amendment to, that if you don't like what's in it, everything that has been spoken, has been said is not concrete. So there are amendments that can be made. We can sit here and talk pointing fingers about what's not in it, what needs to be in it, but we can come together and negotiate and come up with something that we all can have and understand. You know, we're always talking about citizens. That's great. But we gotta have something in the budget to bring people here that's gonna help improve our tax basis and everything else. You know, we can argue, we can debate, whatever you wanna call it. I have sat in on a lot of budgets and things to help put them together, but everything is not gonna be given to you at one time. It's an amendment that can be made to those things. So we need to sit down and come together and make it happen and stop pointing fingers and pulling out things and putting things in. Just come up with something. I think what was in there, and for the 5%, that's great. It may or may not happen. You got to look at the income. Once we put something together and bring a tax base in that's gonna be stabilized, then the 5%, 6%, 10% can increase. But until that happens, nothing is gonna happen. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, there are no other, like to close the budget hearing. This brings us to consent calendar items. Is there a motion for the approval of the consent calendar?
Make a motion.
Separation of. Number four, I'm buying time for someone that may want to.
Separate now.
And number 3, duly noted, Madam Clerk.
There was a number 7.
Is there a motion for the approval of the consent calendar?
So move.
Chair recognizes Mr.
I would like to move number 1 as well for discussion.
She, Madam Clerk, asked that number 1 be removed.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Is there a motion for the approval of the consent calendar?
So move.
Motion is made by Commissioner Singleton and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Seaver. Madam Clerk, would you please call the
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yeah.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry, Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to the first separated item from the consent calendar, which is approval of the budget ordinance for fiscal year 2023, 2024. Is there a motion for the approval?
Motion approved.
Motion is made by Commissioner Singleton. Is there support? It is supported by Finance Chair Commissioner Isom. Is there discussion? Chair recognizes Third Ward Commissioner Henry.
Is there a little out of order in this, approval? If we're gonna approve 2023 and 24, we haven't even amended 2023 and 23, 22 and 23. I think that's a little out of order.
Yeah.
And I've never seen it like that before, so
The board was just the word.
I understand that. But you're approving the year 2023 and 24, and we haven't even approved it yet. So how you gonna approve an ordinance? Now, that not sitting well with me. Deal with it the way you want to, I'll vote my copy.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Commissioner Griffin had a hand up first.
I beg your pardon for the oversight, and I do want to recognize.
Oh, man.
Yes.
So I see an increase for the city manager. It's a big increase. The proposed.
Which one?
Again, the budget. I would like to know what that is for. And it's big, like 13,000. Over 13,000.
We're number one.
Point of order, that's number, we're talking about, we're talking about number one right now, number one.
We're on,
Resolution number one.
Honorable Mayor. Honorable Mayor, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Seeks did have his hand.
This is important.
He's
I
recognized
really,
and then.
I just made a large mistake.
Seeks recognized and then I'll.
Okay.
All due respect, I do appreciate everybody. I think, everybody be a little bit more important than mine. This, the ordinance is just the guidelines for the budget. Again, it's just the ordinance that needs to be put in place in order for the budget to be done. Then the budget comes back to us, so we're not voting. I don't want nobody to get this in mind that we're voting on an actual budget with the approval of the budget ordinance. Keyword ordinance. That just gives you the confine of how to do the budget and put guidelines in place. So we're not voting on the 2023-2024 budget. We're just voting on a roadmap and how to get it done with the ordinance. Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
I appreciate your leadership in that. Chair recognizes.
Honorable Mayor, I don't know how I need to do this, but I just made a large mistake. I did not name, when I looked at this, when I was at home, and I don't know if something changed in it was number 4 that I wanted separated because it was the resolution adopting MDOT alternative to further design the development for Fair and Martin Luther King. It was not the Whirlpool. Something changed? Something changed it?
Yes. That's why it's revised.
For discussion, please. What do I need to do? Make a revision? I make a motion?
Motion is carried. Chair recognizes. Call for the question. Chair recognizes.
Commissioner Seat said this is not to approve it, but at the bottom, it say recommendation that the mayor Muhammad and the Ben Harbor City Commission approve the annual budget for the city of Ben Harbor for the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, and approve using existing positive fund balance to offset net expenditures over revenues for those funds that are budgeted to have expenditure exceeding revenue.
Are you reading the ordinance?
Read the wrong one.
Yeah, right under the order.
Oh, this is,
That's
Right
the
there,
recommendation.
yes, at the bottom.
this is the ordinance right here.
Yeah, but what you're talking about
It
is.
says, whereas in June 2022, whereas on the review, this ordinance right here.
Yeah.
Not the budget ordinance.
No, it says, no, this is the budget right here. This is the budget ordinance right here. That's not it, it's the budget ordinance right here. It's a different page. Y'all need to look. It's the page, that's the ordinance. Where it said at the end of it, certificate, we the mayor, Mark Brown, and City Clerk Tiffany Moore, we're about certified for
Yeah,
one
but
ordinance.
you got a lot of answers tonight.
Never mind, I apologize.
Jumping in. I feel that's the floor. But it do say it.
Damn smart, but
It's out of the 7th page now, it's on this
Number
page.
1 is not the same as one that followed. The first one approval now, the approval of the budget ordinance for fiscal year 2023.
I know that, I comprehend very well. I comprehend very well. So, it's a page on that, it's still, what I'm reading, it's talking about the budget ordinance of fiscal year 2023 to 24, which is number 1. And at the bottom of one of those pages, don't have a number, it says that's what you're doing, approval, recommendation. We can move on, but I'm reading, I'm saying what I'm reading, and I know what I'm talking about.
Gonna call for the
Call for question.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
No,
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
No.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to number two, pardon me, number three. The motion for the approval of budget amendments.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Support.
supported by Commissioner Isom. Discussion. Chair recognizes Commissioner Clark.
okay, so we are number 3, right? Okay, so city manager, as those two, it's talking about a big increase. I would like to know, what is that increase? It's over $13,000 increase.
Manager, would you mind speaking to, the question by Commissioner Clark?
Page 1, under 2022 to 23 proposed amended budget.
Could you speak to that, Hildebrand?
Yeah, one of the items, and it isn't the whole 13,000, I don't have the detail of it, but one of the items was there was an increase in travel. He had very little travel in his budget last year and had made a couple trips this year, so it was travel. It was a large part of the increase.
13,000.
That's part of it. That's over what was
Can you give me
budgeted.
all the parts?
I don't have it here with me.
We can give you an
Well, it's
itemized,
I got the floor, Commissioner C. Thank you.
we'll give you an itemized breakdown,
When?
ASAP,
We so, okay, we go tonight, right?
that is.
Okay, well, I'll get it another time. Okay, so mayor and commissioner is saying a decrease. Why would, if it's 9 of us, why would we be taking proposed that it's a decrease, almost $5,000?
Hildebrand.
Yes, the amended budget is put together. You approved a budget for 22-23. When we amend the budget for 22-23, we go through what the spending is all the way through June 10th. And we look line item by line item to see what's up or down. And if things look like they're a little more, we need to budget more, and we need to budget more than we really think to stay within the budget parameters of the state of Michigan. So we estimate high. If somebody is way under and they're not tracking as high as it was built in the budget, and we feel comfortable, we reduce that budget. And there are quite a few up and downs this year because of the way expenses have been tracking throughout the year.
City clerk, there's a decrease. Why is there a decrease in the city clerk? Because I know she uses a lot of paper, she does pretty much everything. Why would we be decreasing her budget?
Because she budgeted to have a deputy in the year 22-23. She never hired a deputy, therefore her spending is less than what we budgeted. So we know that's not gonna come in the next 2 weeks of this month. So we can take her budget down to help offset some of the ones.
Reconciling.
So personnel, an increase in personnel. It's a pretty good increase. What would that be?
It's $1,300. I mean, it's to 85.
Yeah, so what's that increase for? If it's 5, 7, what's the increase for?
One of the things I know they implemented this year that wasn't in the budget was a different, a system for hiring people in Paycor. So that could be some of the expenses that were higher than we budgeted, because we didn't know we would use Paycor last year.
Okay, you say could be, is it? Or-
I don't have my detailed line items here.
Okay, so I'm gonna move along. Finance department, increase. Can somebody explain what's that? What that is?
Mhm. There was a finance director here that you increased some of his salary for mileage, and then Plant Moran was here longer than anticipated and budgeted,
So the increase is for Plant Moran?
and for giving mileage to a finance director.
He's been gone since February. Given to?
Right.
Right, he's been gone since February.
Yeah.
But it was all, it was.
Still.
Part of the
budgeted,
part of the
but left
increase.
at 6 months time where it expired. We extended it for 6 months.
So does
We gave it for 6 months, right at 6 months, he left.
Right, so, okay. Okay, election, your decrease. Why is there a decrease in election?
I don't have the line items here with me to know exactly what we budgeted
Did you
last
put this
year.
together?
Pardon me?
Did you put this budget, did you put this
City
together?
manager.
Yes, the city manager.
Okay, so he put it together, so if he put it together, then he should know what this is, right? Because I've been doing audits 20-something years. So if he put it together, or somebody put it together, then they should know what it's for, whether they looking at a paper or not. But I'll move on. So public safety department, decrease, a big decrease. Somebody explain that.
Yeah, part of the changes up, down in the departments is there's a accounting change for leases. There's a large amount of expense for leased vehicles that we build within everybody's budget. To get things the way the state of Michigan wants it, you have to pull it out of the budget and put it down in debt. So we have to reclassify things when it comes amendment time to get it lined up with the way the state wants to see it at the end of the year. It's not how we track it during the year, but it's how the state wants to see it.
Okay, code compliance, almost 100,000 decrease.
There was a position budgeted for that department last year that did not come to fruition.
Okay. Department of Public Works, decrease.
Actually, it went up. Public Works went up. And that's because cemetery mowing was included in the cemetery budget. We didn't have a cemetery operations within the city, so the mowing had to go into the general fund.
Parks and Rec, decrease.
There was less staffing than we budgeted last year.
General administration, big increase. Can you tell me what that is?
It's the lease accounting adjustment, had to go into the general admin. There's also an offset up in revenue. Again, it's accounting that the state of Michigan requires.
Okay, thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
I didn't have a question, but I have one now. And I guess it would be to Rhonda. Piggybacking off of what Commissioner Clark Griffin mentioned about the deduction in director. How about Plant Moran? I know that when we did those raises for those and bonuses for those hiring on a finance director, and knowing that there was a certain amount of time that we had given for the transition, and Plant Moran pay went up as well. Is that still the case? Is that, I mean, what's going on with that? I haven't noticed.
As far as
Plant Moran.
was supposed to be transitioned out.
Okay.
And that didn't take
Okay,
place.
so we're
So
still, we still yet have some interviewing to do. Okay. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Caesar is recognized.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Through the chair, I would ask, somebody explain because I don't want, again, people to get this information, because they run with it. About budget amendments and how we have to comply with State of Michigan Uniform Budget and Accounting Act. Can you explain the Uniform Budget and Accounting Act and why it's important for us to do what we're doing?
Well, one of the items with the state of Michigan, which quite frankly, I don't understand, because if your budget is in balance and where it should be in total, it should be okay. But that's not how the state views it. You have to budget each activity and you cannot overspend. So you want to make sure when you're doing these amendments that you have budgeted enough expense to cover plus some if there are any surprises that come in between now and June. So you have to spend under what you budget by department, not in total. So, and it has to be done by June 30th
And
of
that's
each
the
year.
Uniform Budget and Accounting Act, is that, so we're doing this to stay under the
To stay.
guidelines of what the state of Michigan requires
Correct.
us to do. Thank you, Dr. Mayor.
Just for the record, that falls under Public Act 279, 1909, which is the whole movement. Where the state allows for us to operate as municipal government, based on our city charter, but based on Michigan law. I call for the question.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
No.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry, Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to number 4, resolution of special appreciation for corporation.
Make motion to approve.
Motion is
Support.
Seats supported by Mr. Edwards. Is there discussion?
Call for the question.
Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
I beg you, Brian, I'd like to have a comment or some debate on it. You can't call for the question without giving us the opportunity to debate. Well, that's the first thing come out of his mouth before anybody could move.
Well, there's already been a vote unless the gentleman calls back for a request to move his motion to second. And a vote has been already recorded. Really have no option.
No, they really separated. You're supposed to ask for discussion. That's why it was separated.
And you know that's wrong, Mayor. So, a lot of people are going to do that to nobody. So if you wanna do it, do it. I'll vote according to my,
Madam Clerk?
sooner or later, you guys are gonna be in some real hot trouble because you're not doing things properly. Somebody's gonna get sued.
Madam
Do
Clerk?
it.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
No.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Number 7.
This brings us to staff communication.
So you didn't allow me to
Chair recognizes.
Wow.
Public Safety Deputy Director Clark Griffin. Excuse me, You're on my mind. Deputy Clark. Chair recognizes Director Griffin.
Thank you, Mayor. Would just like to comment this evening that last week, HUD had a monitoring team was all week. They reviewed our processes, they visited a couple of our subcontractors, one being the Community Action parks and review their record systems and so forth. Visited 3 of the homes in which we have been talked with the owners. They asked for listing of a variety of items, most of which they got some of them, but they had us load them into what we call CDS, so they have through their official process. We still have a few that remain to be submitted. We are expected to have a monitoring letter that will cite some exceptions as was expected. Basically, those deal with a variety of different measures. For example, CUD requires that for doing the single audit, that there be that we call a CUD regulation, which requires a bid process for that kind of thing. We have been extending our audit yearly for good reason, because as the finance director pointed out, there will be a significant additional cost when you bring in a new audit firm that is not familiar with the processes that the city is adopting, getting brought up to speed and that type of thing. But we are asked to draft and submit to the process for how we'll do the single audit reimbursement. There's some other items in terms of how we report it or maintain items. And as I explained to them, I expected that because over the last 30 months that I've been here, as you know, most of that time I've been pretty much alone. And as I said to them, I had to prioritize what I would be able to do with the limited time that I had, and we elected to try and accomplish most of those things necessary to get our program up and rolling again, and to meet the absolute requirements that had to be done then, that we should not only anticipate any problem in responding to their exceptions and getting what they need, but it's important we do recognize, as I shared with them, in addition to the things that we do to get these programs in motion, I detailed and will be also spelling it out to them in a letter that it was April of 21 before we actually began operations, and we still had unspent money from fiscal year 15, 16, 17, 18. And in order to get going, I had to get everything done to get fiscal year 19 through. And 2 months after that, fiscal year 20 came. And of course, we get the spending requirements and whatnot. But overall, I had nothing occurred that was unexpected. And things will be moving along.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Attorney Rock.
No report tonight, Mayor, thank you.
Chair recognizes City Clerk.
I do not have a report tonight.
Chair recognizes City Manager Ramsey Mitchell.
I have nothing.
Chair recognizes the Full Board Commissioner Clark Griffin.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to thank you for coming, and I'd like to say congratulations to Ms. Amy Bell and Mr. Steve Archibald for the plan commission, also Whirlpool for the appreciation. And also, if you missed it, you missed the treat, the Juneteenth, June the 17th. It was Saturday. Great. This was our 7th celebration, our 6th parade. And if you missed it, if you was there, you already know. You already know. So we want to thank the sponsors. We want to thank the in-kind donations. We want to thank all the volunteers, everybody, all the vendors, everybody that played a part to make this happen. We thank you so much. And I know, I was going to say hope, but I know everybody enjoyed their stuff. And, so that's all. Have a good night.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner.
I thank all the citizens and residents that come out and see us at work or not at work. So, I want everyone to pay attention to July the 11th at the library. This master plan is really important to get your input. 70% of the draft is done. That leaves 30%. And we ought to make sure that that 30% reflects what's going on in your neighborhood. So be sure to spread the word, bring somebody when you come. Then I want to talk about the budget. That's your money. It's truly your money. But then when I see that the services you need is not included, the priorities that are set is where we spend our money. So we're gonna come back again and talk about this. If you notice, we just amended this year's budget. It's on its way out, but we just amended it. And we got a new one that we're working on. So if you don't see those priorities being spent, it's because you residents are not priority. That's obvious. So the only way that you can have that is to get involved. Speak about it. Speak about that dream that you want in your neighborhood, in your block. Because other entities, the surrounding people, they always come out and they always speak on their benefits. So people, bring someone, come, look at it on YouTube. Whatever you have to do, get involved in your money and what's being done with it. And I thank everyone for being here.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Second Ward Commissioner.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Good evening to all of you all. Good to see you. First of all, I'd just like to kind of give everybody an update on the Hall Park, Ox Creek, public hearing we had out in Hall Park. It kind of went slow, so it wasn't like a packed crowd, but it was more or less of a steady flow. One of the things that we did notice, 95% of those people, it was their first time ever looking at a plan for the city, period, any plan. To me, that's a huge success because we took it to where they will gather, as opposed to, hey, you gotta come way over here, where? In this little room. No, I ain't going. But we put it out in the open park and it was a huge success. Could be a huge defeat. It depends on how you measure things, right? We already know how they go. Bottled water fights, I did hear about it. I am looking into it. Yes, no person in this building can be everywhere at the same time. That's all I got to say about that. Thank those that had some events over the weekend. Kind of controversial, but anyway, the light show was fantastic. First time I ever seen a drone light show. It was fantastic. Me, when I get excited, I want more than 15 minutes, but it was worth it. Just like the fireworks show, but it was fantastic. The gathering was fantastic. Everything was fantastic. There was some citizens who had played some music. I call it chilling. They played some music in City Park. They cleaned it up. Both parks were cleaned up. I want to say thank you to public safety, because if you go into those kind of situations and you go in there with the wrong idea, it can escalate. I want to thank public safety. It didn't escalate. I don't know about arrest, shooting, or anything like that didn't happen that I know of. Thank public safety for that. Last, Whirlpool. Whirlpool, I want to thank you very much for what you have done related to parks. I think it was mentioned parks are not important in life, kids' life or something. I forgot how that goes. Whirlpool Parks, and I want to say Mrs. Stephanie Harvey Vandenberg. I'm biased on this park. One reason because I grew up in the park where your father was one of those who made me go. He is the one that actually made me go from baseball to basketball. He is the one that also made me become a coach when I moved back here. So I'm biased on that, and I kind of knew you a little bit. I had moved away. Whirlpool has always been here. My family has worked there. And I come back, and I see you guys doing what you do. It's great, because if you don't, and the way I see it, if you don't, is there anybody else who's going to do it? After that, I'm done with it. There's nothing else to argue about. To the citizens and all of you all, I would like to say this. I love you all, in spite of what happened. Why do I love you? I don't know. It's better than hate you. I found that out being 69. Thank you very much. My buzzer went off.
Thank you, Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. Thank residents for coming out, taking time out of your busy schedule to see how your local government is working for you or not. Because sometimes it does and sometimes it just doesn't. But it's our job to keep pressing forth and make sure that it does. Try to put those things in place that we know that it takes to run the city. I'm glad to see that the alleyways are being cleaned. I think that the thing that is going to take is the utilization of those alleys. The vehicles that need to be parking like they used to, and I think in the wintertime, it's a way to keep the streets clear for the trucks as well. And anytime a road is being utilized, like our alleys, it's going to keep the way paved clear than it is when it's not being utilized for anything other than dumping. I think that we really need to take a look at that legislatively. But it looks good, and we still have a long ways to go. I would love to see the street sweeper. If we need to get a volunteer, maybe I can learn how to drive it myself. But I would really love to see it going down some of the neighborhood streets. We've had some young people in the community doing some wonderful things, and it would be wonderful if the taxpayer street sweeper would come behind and make it even look better. And I remember as a kid growing up that the street sweeper used to come behind the trash truck on the same days that it ran. We need to be utilizing that budget and putting together a creative job and looking in that other one thing that can worm to create another job and give these hard-working men and women that work for public works in the city of Ben Harbor the pay just due. Because they work hard. And you don't know it until you find yourself doing this type of work. It's easy to put a shovel over you and just walk with it, you know. But it's work. And as for the jobs that are being created, we've been crying for years, and we finally got a local that's trying to start some training. When you don't see me, trust and believe I'm busy. I study, I read a lot. I'm always looking for how to improve my community, because when my community is healed and better, so am I. Been looking at some places where it makes sense to actually do construction work. Thinking about what Mr. Duncan says. You have no idea, none of y'all have no idea what Commissioner Adams be involved in. reparations, you name it, with so many organizations across this country and out over in other countries. It's coming. It's coming, but it's all about, I mean, it's economic growth that's about to take place. And it's going to affect us all, but we have got to get a hold of these young people somehow, some way, and teach them how to better love on one another. So that we don't have to be putting so much money into public safety. That we can build that skating rink, that skateboarding, whatever. You know, all of those amenities that other beautiful communities have. We want for ours as well. Get tired of going down to Florida spending our money. We can spend it to Florida to come here and spend some of theirs. We got a beautiful beach. But with that, everybody enjoy the rest of your evening and thank you for coming out.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Ice.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I would thank everyone for coming out tonight, for all your comments, concerns, another passed budget approval on time for the fiscal year of 2023-24. So, and the Juneteenth parade festival was great. Just to see the stream of people, you know, gathering together, no eating good, music, and they had a lot of preaching going on, prayer and all that. And that is good for the soul. And that's what we want, to feed your soul. And I think you did a great job, you and your committee. Great job, great job, great job, great job. And I'd like to congratulate the appointments, Mr. Archibald to the Planning Commission and Ms. Bell to the Planning Commission too. You know, it's good to volunteer. I know he serves on other boards too, so it's good to have some old veterans get back in there and do some. Oh, forget old young man get back in there and get things rolling. You know, get it rolling, get it rolling. And I missed. You know, I really want to be there at the Day of Impact. Man, I had put my shirt on too, going to work. But I was just coming back from vacation, but I really wanted to be there to get dirty and just work, and just like we did at Union Park. Did y'all have the good food there too? I knew it. Yeah, but it looked great. I wish I could have been there, but I want to thank Director Little for putting this letter out here for the appreciation that World Food have done throughout the city and keeping their pledge. You know, even with apartment buildings and helping the city out, Union Park, this new park, you know, I'm sure there's going to be more to come, more to come. So I just want to thank you. We got a monument going up. Unified Civic Monument Project. We got Martin Luther King Project. This is it right here. We're 70% reaching our goal of $850,000. We'll be right out there. I want to thank everybody for participating till June 24th of 24. You're going to see a monument out there. And you're going to see the one in St. Joe at the same time, bringing this community together, the Ben Harbor and St. Joe area. You know, we put in the work. So I want to thank you for believing this commission. Hope. You know, me and Commissioner Singleton, Commissioner Edwards, and the mayor, we was just standing here looking out. Commissioner Edwards said, let's go to Audrey's place. You know, Audrey had the mic out. We walked there just looking at the city, jamming, you know, and Audrey in there jamming. So the last song they played was, the young lady had the mic. I want to thank you for letting me be myself. The mayor got up first. Who was first? Jerry?
No, the mayor was
But that we was together though. You know, that showed unity. See, that was unity right there. I don't know how they sounded, but I sounded good. I know I was hitting. I had that mic. But anyway, that shows some unity. Just come together. And plus, we wasn't no open meetings act or nothing like that yet. He was right there, you know, but that shows something. Walk downtown Ben Harbor in unity. So I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I'm going to tell you, like I always say, expect great things. Coming through that door, expect great things. God bless you. God bless Ben Harbor. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Singh.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'd like to thank citizens for coming out tonight. Thanks staff and commission for budget, doing our fiduciary duty to stay in line with the state. Whirlpool, the day of impact. There was definitely an impact. I heard a lot of positive things. The one that stuck out was Mr. Danny Jennings, who lived, near the park there, and said he remembered his granddaddy, out there barbecuing, and it was a place for them to go out and play. That touched me. So I just want to thank you for, all of you for, doing what you say you're gonna do, And I know some of y'all are here. Could y'all stand up so people just say, can y'all do that? Come on. Yeah. Whirlpool impact. Yeah. And volunteers. Yeah. Thank you. Broadway Park, soon to be named, now named, I don't know, June Wood. So yeah. So great thing in the neighborhood there. Another thing, the Charles D. Kelly Urban Foundation, which is a nonprofit, and WVBH 105.3, we're looking for 10 individuals, 16 and up, to participate in a pre-home repair clinic, some free training. We have 3 I believe they're master carpenters that's going to volunteer the time to help. So we'll get more information out about that. The first project will be a roofing project. Juneteenth, that was a great event. The radio station participated in it, got a chance to drive the car and wave and see the people, so it was nice, and looking forward for next year. Father's Day week. Boy, the fathers finally got some recognition, got some recognition, all week long there was something, and to top it off with the light show. So we like to thank President Pillars for that week and the volunteers there. So we don't feel too bad this year. Family might get a little more money out of our pocket now. Another event that we're looking at to get done this summer, as far as recreation, we're looking at the fastest men and women in the street. It's going to be similar to a track event. We'll be bringing that to Public Safety Park Recreation Committee next month to discuss that. It should be, if you got any kids that think they can run, it's built off the concept of when we was kids, the first track meets we ever ran in was in the streets, Hey, I challenge you, And so who was the fastest on the block, So that'll be coming next month. And one last thing, I heard about the water bottles and things like that. Also heard of another incident that got a call about that a young kid came up to a police car claiming to have a weapon and, made a threat to the officer. People, please, let's get our kids, because that could have been tragic, So let's get our kids. That's all I need to say about that. Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Singh. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I want to just piggyback. I was there when that happened. A little kid reached behind him and said, "I got a Glock. I'll blow your brains up," pointed at the police officer. I'll get you that in my interview. I want to first start off by saying we commend our mayor for getting the water equity community award. It was a long. Y'all give him a hand. It's all right. He worked hard, diligently with the state of Michigan and with the federal government, bringing people together that usually don't go together. Mr. Upton gave money, and get money from everywhere. He's been a tremendous representation of what a mayor should look like, what a mayor is, and I commend you for a job well done. We had more lead lines out of the ground than Flint and all these other areas. We've done it quicker than anybody else. It took teamwork. It took every one of us, including entities outside of here, who worked hard together to get people where they need to go. One word is, and I'm gonna go. When somebody says somebody has good potential, that means they never done nothing. Say that again. When somebody says somebody has great potential, that means they've never done anything. You got an NBA draft coming up with a whole lot of people who have great potential, but because you drafted don't mean you will have a prolonged career. But you have to take that home and think about it. I want to commend Whirlpool for a job well done. President, vice president, all the workers, the hard workers on the ground level were made Benton Harbor look better. Benton Harbor is looking like it should look. And I commend, I don't want to say my sister, but she's more like a sister now than she ever been. When she first came to Benton Harbor, we was having it out. That's Stephanie Vandenberg. We was having it out. I mean, we still got the newspaper article on my desk. We were talking about beautifying Union Park. But our heartbeat for our community has been shown through the work that has been done. And others who have stepped up behind her to say, or with her, not behind her, to say we need to make Benton Harbor a better place. Saddest thing is, there's a lot of people out there, but there was not a lot of residents who was out there. I need to say that because it hurt my heart. I mean that. I don't mean to, kind of get a little emotional, but it hurt my heart to see people out there beautifying something that nobody respects. That park down there on the river looked like a jungle on Tuesday morning. Nobody else did that. Nobody else was spray painting the buildings and tearing up bottles and all that kind of crap out there. Them kids was fighting like dogs on Washington Street. I mean, fighting like junkyard dogs, cussing out parents, cussing out adults. The parents are out there swinging bats, all this kind of foolishness. The police pull up and they tell them that you ain't gonna effing nothing to me. There's a real problem here, and it ain't got nothing to do with this commission. We have to somehow counteract the behaviors of the people and get in these homes and get these kids out of the streets. They are congregating in all these other areas. They're congregating everywhere you can to get down the street. If you bump somebody's car, they shooting you. That has nothing to do with anybody else. We have to begin to do something to get the heart of these people together, our people. Because I love the parks are beautified. I love the streets are looking better. But our hearts have to change. Because if not, we're going to continue burying our kids week after week, month after month, and coming down here fighting each other. Instead of trying to find a remedy to the real problem, and it's going to start in that house. We have to find a way to get in the homes, get these kids on the right direction, because these kids wasn't teenagers. These were 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds. They were fighting like dogs. And I feel sorry for the police officers. The boy walked up to the police officer, went behind his back, and I'm like, whoa. He said, I got a Glock and I'll shoot you. So what would have happened if the police would have responded in a different way? We won't march down the street, knock out the windows, and all these things. We really have to change the heartbeat of making this thing acceptable. We cannot become numb to our own behavior.
Sure.
We have to do something strategic. And it's going to take all of us now that you stand up and keep standing. That's what we're going to need. Somebody to stand up and say, let's make a difference with these young men. And it ain't just the boys either now. It's these little girls too. They pulling out ponytails and slamming each other. I'm serious, man. Anytime you bump a car and somebody shooting you, I'm scared for my kids to go out and you pray that your kid make it home. That takes us to do something different. Thank you, Honorable Mayor, for your time. Thank you for your efforts, and thank you for your example.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. To the appointees, Coach Archibald, Bell, welcome. Great work is in front of us. Master plan, hopefully we'll be able to get it passed. We hope to generate maybe 400 to 500 million in the next 10 years under that new master plan. Whirlpool Corporation, thank you for your efforts. Just doing a little math, because I'm no mathematician, but over the past, since 2010, there's been over about 150 million in investment in the city of Benton Harbor. And that's across the board. Not to mention the impact that you have been printing place over here. I think they're the personal printing company, but the biggest contractors for. What's the name of the printing right over?
Batson.
Thanks for that. Matson Print. So that's a company that's held us, that's providing jobs for residents and giving a second chance. And it's many more. So thank you for your support ongoing for the city of Benton Harbor. We did receive the first annual Mayor Richard M. Daley Water Equity Community Award. The city of Benton Harbor, I was there to accept on your behalf. Out of it, we received technical assistance. We received a membership to the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence Cities Initiative, which is made up of over 300 cities, 200 from Canada, over 100 in the U.S. I learned about the great trade that's taking place in the Great Lakes, which Benton Harbor sits right on Lake Michigan. And I met mayors Lake Erie, Lake Huron, and learned that the 8 states, Quebec and the province of Ontario, if it were a country, it would be third. Over $6 trillion in trade between all of those cities, the states within. I believe Illinois is over 14.8 billion. And the state of Michigan exceeds that. So we're becoming a part of a working unit where the city of Benton Harbor will be at the heartbeat of investment and trade as we move forward toward 2030. We also will be getting assistance on developing climate action plan for the city of Benton Harbor to be surrounded by 4 bodies of water with no climate action plan is not good. And that will consist of, this will go through planning, economic development, legislative, but also go through the public safety and of course communications, because we have to get the message out as it relates to how a climate action plan will benefit the residents of Benton Harbor. So with that being said, again, thank you for coming out. We do have a closed session.
Entertain a motion to go into closed session.
And is that wording right, Attorney?
This is not my closed session, Mayor. This is the appointed attorney.
So we'll be going into closed session for the purpose of discussing union negotiations, internal order, police, and action. Is there a motion for the closed session?
So move.
Support. Motion is made by Commissioner Singleton, supported by Commissioner Adams. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson, Commissioner Henry, Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams, Commissioner Clark Griffin,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Hey, I'm gonna be great.
The one on the left. But I may have to be a little later.
Oh, you know what? Oh, okay. Oh, wow. You did great.
Yeah.
Thank you. That looks like they were heavily entertained. Well, let me give you my card. And then myself and Devil Hunter are going to join us tonight. You can send us the information. So my email is right there. Okay. I look forward to learning more. I appreciate you doing that. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. What do you think, Alex? I'm still winning HU for War 2, right? I look forward to hearing more things to say.
I don't know, I'm kind of glad I came to something new. I know.
Oh, they went off back there. Okay. Are they coming back? Ah. Okay. Okay, so they'll be back. Okay, okay. All right, well, thank you, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Oh, you're good. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what she just said.
Yes. You colored girl? You go, huh? I was smart enough to bring one.
Where he's from, where the former in-laws from.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Old marathoners are.
We got first closing.
As we return from recess out of closed session, there's no action at this time on the union negotiations, return order of police, and ask me, Commissioner Adams makes a motion to adjourn. Is there support? Supported by Mayor Pro Tem Seats, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark Griffin?
Yeah.
Commissioner Edwards?
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson? Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats?
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed?
Yes.
Motion carried.
The young
Get
lady,
that check Friday.
Tiffany, we have her information.
I won't get no time. I don't know.
The young
I ain't gonna
lady,
be no time.
I mean,